Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to a new video on the channel. If you're a regular on the channel, you're noticing a very familiar sight and a very unfamiliar sight. First, let's talk about the unfamiliar sight. We've actually got a guest on the channel for a change. We've got a great friend of the channel in figuring out what direction I've got to point this in. There we go.
There you go.
Jester is on the channel, who's been a great friend of the channel. Jester, you're probably not used to being up this early on a Sunday morning, are you?
I am not used to being up this early, but I am excited to be here, and I'm the first guest you've ever had. I remember when you were just a baby, and now you've grown up to be a big old YouTuber with like live streams and all kinds of stuff. Oh my God. I feel like such a proud papa. I do.
Okay, now you're embarrassing yourself at this point. Anyway, so let's talk. So that's the unfamiliar sight. If you're a regular on the channel, you know what the return of Silent Night, Unholy Night means on the channel. I know you know what that means.
That's awesome. I love that song too, by the way. It's a great intro, and we talked about this in the green room, and having like a song for your channel is awesome. I think I'm gonna have to copy you on that and create a song for myself. That's awesome.
Well, I didn't necessarily create it, but I definitely
but I mean kind of adapted it for yourself, I guess is what I should have said. Yeah.
So the return of Silent Night, Unholy Night to the channel can only mean one thing. It is time once again for Christmas in Arkham. So we've got a lot that's going to be coming up on the channel related to Christmas in Arkham, and I know you're excited for it. So let's jump right into a PowerPoint presentation that I've got put together for it. So in this video, I'm going to explain a little bit about what Christmas in Arkham is. Jester may still nope out when he actually realizes what we're getting into for Christmas in Arkham this year. I'll go through the rules of Christmas in Arkham. Then we'll go through the ancient ones and get them grouped. Then we'll recap the sequence and all the groups. Then I'm actually going to have a demo play of the game I'm going to use to pick out the opponent for Christmas in Arkham. Then we'll wrap everything up. So the first question, and this is actually going to be a good opportunity for anybody in chat and or Jester to ask any questions about how the campaign works. Obviously, you've seen the campaign from the outside as a spectator. This year, you're going to be on the inside of it as well. So this is figuring out what you're in for.
Yeah, I've always been watching the... Whoa. Get a little feedback there. Sure.
I might be sharing system audio. Let me see if that does anything.
It didn't originally. Something's going on. I'm getting feedback. Like everything I do repeat.
Yeah, I think it's probably. Let me see if I can drop sharing system audio from here. I just got to figure out where it is.
I'd even close the browser window. Oh, well, now I'm not doing it, so that's interesting.
Yeah, okay. I think it was from sharing my system audio might have been the problem.
What I was going to say is I've always watched from afar and the Christmas from Arkham and been interested in it, and I was really happy this year when we got together over the summer and talked about maybe doing something together with it, and I was very excited about trying it out because I've seen it, I know a little bit about it, but it's always intrigued me into how deep you get into. You go down this rabbit hole pretty deep.
Yeah. I think you had the idea of maybe wanting to do an imitation of something like this. And I'm just like, you know what? I've got Christmas in Arkham coming up anyway. Why don't you just run it with me this year? That's kind of how that came up.
Yeah, I'm very happy that we're going to do this. So I'm going to try it out, and we're going to see how it goes, and hopefully it'll be a great experience for both of us.
Well, we'll find out about that, won't we? So so rather than ramble about it, let's talk a little bit about what Christmas in Arkham actually is. Technically, this is a twice yearly campaign that I run through on the channel because I do run through this in the summer as well. That's a campaign called the Summer of Lovecraft. The only difference between the two is I use a different game to determine the opponent for the Summer of Lovecraft. I, of course, use Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu to determine my opponent in the Summer of Lovecraft. So it is a yearly campaign around the Arkham Horror files. I play through a sequence of Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, and Elder Sign as a mini campaign on the channel. Those are from Fantasy Flight Studios. And then as a prelude that I do to determine the opponent for Fate of the Elder Gods, or for Christmas in Arkham, I play a game called Fate of the Elder Gods. And I know you've picked this up recently, but I don't think you've had a chance to do anything with it on the channel yet.
I've not played it. I've seen it. I've seen your playthroughs of it. I kind of understand the basics. I think, I think I could play it if I sat down and read the rules pretty quickly.
Well, we'll also go through a demo playthrough of it at the end of this video.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
And then
it's basically playing the bad guys is what Fate of the Elder God is. You're basically playing all the different ancient ones to try and complete the mission or whatever.
Your goal is to get your Elder Gods summoned, and that's kind of the idea behind Christmas in Arkham, where you start off playing the Elder Gods, trying to get summoned. Then you switch sides once we move into the Arkham Horror files. We'll switch over, play the good guys, and try to banish our opponent.
Right.
And in researching this, there are 9 ancient ones who cross all 4 games. We'll meet them later in the video. So first up, let's go through what the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament actually is. As I mentioned, there are 9 ancient ones that cross all 4 games, I should say. I'm going to be splitting them into 3 groups of 3. And then we'll go through solo plays for all of them. And again, demo of that later in the video. As far as determining who advances from each of those groups, if only one ancient one gets summoned in a group, they automatically advance. If there are multiple summons, I've got tiebreakers set up. I start off with the fewest elder signs, then fewest curses. Then I've got an executive tiebreaker where if I featured an ancient one a lot on the channel, I don't want to feature them again. I want to mix it up a little bit. So that's kind of an executive tiebreaker. And then if I've still got 2 ancient ones that I haven't featured for a while, then I'm going to default to a die roll at that point. If there are no summons, tiebreakers will then start with the furthest progress on the summon track, then the above. All of this will make more sense when we get into Fate of the Elder Gods. So feel free to stop me if you have any questions on any of this. Then the winners from each of those play-in groups will advance to a final winners group. And then the winner from that group will be the opponent for Christmas in Arkham. So all clear on the tournament so far?
Absolutely.
Now for the campaign proper. So this is getting into the Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, Elder Sign arc. If the investigators win in Eldritch Horror or Arkham 2nd Edition, they'll start the next game with an extra item, and I'll roll for that at the start of the game.
Can I ask a question before you?
Yeah.
The Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, and Elder Sign. Do you always play those in that order, or do you randomize them, or how is that decided?
It's always played in that order, and the reason I play it in that order is I figure starting with the whole world with Eldritch Horror, chase them into Arkham with Arkham 2nd Edition, then an Elder Sign. When I first conceived this campaign, that order was actually reversed, where I started with Elder Sign, then Arkham 2nd Edition, then Eldritch. I figured it would make it a lot easier to just chase them into more confined territory instead.
Okay.
So it's always in that order. Then, okay, where were we? Oh, yes. Starting an extra item if you win Eldritch or 2nd Edition. If the investigators lose, they'll start the next game down 1 health and 1 sanity, kind of a way for the results of the previous games to matter. If an investigator is eliminated, they're out for the campaign. And I've also included a few exceptions here. So if elimination is specified during the final mystery in Eldritch Horror, I will swap, otherwise I won't. I also won't swap if we tap out from the final mystery being completely unwinnable. If we get to a point where we realize that there's no way we're going to salvage it and we just tap out, take a strategic retreat, we won't swap the investigators in that case. Similarly, if the elimination happens during the final battle in 2nd Edition, we will swap investigators. And we'll have to be a little bit pickier. I do have a list that I'll send you as well of investigators that are available in all 3 of the Arkham Horror Files games. So any questions once we get to the campaign proper?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay, then let's go ahead and group the ancient ones. First up, we will turn to the King in Yellow, Haster. We've had a fairly bloody history with the King in Yellow. So the last time we saw him in Christmas in Arkham, when he was the opponent, he was our opponent in 2023, and Haster won the campaign by a 3-0 score. Christmas in Arkham 2024, he was summoned but eliminated in the play-in groups on a dice tiebreaker. And then 2022, he was summoned but eliminated in the first group. And then as an interesting side note, Haster was actually the very first Ancient One that I was trying to summon when we played Fate of the Elder Gods way back in 2022, I think. We managed to summon him in that debut. Now, the way we're going to group the Ancient Ones is I've actually got a random wheel here that I've got set up for everything. So you can see on here it's randomized, but I've got the three groups in here and then what order they're going in. I figure if you're cool with it, I'll take 2 Ancient Ones in groups 1 and 3. You can take 2 in group 2, and first and third will be the pair play-ins. That good with you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll give the wheel a spin, and we will see where Haster's going in the tournament. You look puzzled at something.
No, I'm just interested in what's going on. It just kind of second group, second.
Second group going second. So that'll bring me over to my Excel spreadsheet over here. And I'll make a note there of who's got the Ancient One in each group. So we'll remove Haster from remove that from the wheel, and we'll go back to our presentation. Next up is 𝐊𝐤𝐿. 𝐊𝐤 in Christmas in Arkham last year was summoned but eliminated via dice tiebreakers. And then in the summer of Lovecraft 2023, he was our opponent, but he lost 2-1. Then for 2022 Christmas in Arkham, he was one of the only 2 Ancient Ones in the play-in groups to not get summoned. So let's go back to our wheel, and we'll see where 𝐊𝐤 is going in the tournament. Wow, I'm getting Ancient Ones grouped for me. So 𝐊𝐤 will be leading off the third group.
That's pretty good.
Well, setting the pace in any group might be something that would make a lot of people nervous. Then we come to the Black Goat of the Woods, 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐿. 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐬 is one of 3 two-time finalists in the winners group in the tournament. In 2024, she was summoned but lost in the final group on tiebreakers. Christmas in Arkham 2023, she wasn't summoned. Then Christmas in Arkham 2022, which was actually the very first year I ran the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament, she was summoned but lost the campaign by a final score of 3-0. It was a clean sweep for us.
So I know you've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, but what I think you should do, thinking going maybe next year, obviously it might be too late this year, is you've been keeping track of how you've done against them, right? So Every time you defeat them, they should get a bonus going the next time they go against you. Or if they win, then you get a bonus the next time you go against them to kind of make them either tougher or easier the more you play them.
Well, I'm going to be doing a little bit of that this year with one of the Ancient Ones coming up, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. And I do like the idea, though, of kind of buffing the other side. Might be something to think of too, maybe this year, depending on which Ancient One comes out of the tournament. But let's go back into our wheel, and we will spin to see where 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐬𝐿 is going. We'll go through the Ancient Ones too before we start the demo game. Let's see. 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐬𝐿 will be in the third group.
It just went to
third group going. So 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐬𝐿 will be the last Ancient One in the play-in groups. And I need to unbold that because I do bold which Ancient Ones come out of the play-in groups. So I've got a lot less spots. I've got 2 Ancient Ones left to land in my control for the tournament. So now let's go to the Crawling Chaos, 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐿. We've had a fairly bloody history with 𝐊𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 on the channel, but Christmas in Arkham been relatively tame. 2024, summoned and eliminated on tiebreakers. 2023, he made the final group but wasn't summoned. 2022 was the other ancient one in the playing groups to not get summoned. And in the summer of Lovecraft, 2023 was the first year I ran the summer of Lovecraft. He won 3-0 by a 3-0 score that wasn't even that close. It was not pretty.
Not good, huh?
No. I will mention before we get the spin that his ability, his Dark Gift in Fate of the Elder Gods is absolute trash, and I've had to house rule something useful in solo. But let's see whose problem that will be. That house rule for
thanks. Give me the problem. I got it. Yeah.
Let's group him and then we'll talk about, and we'll, so we, what do we say? I think third group,
1 second. Yeah.
Okay. So you might be able to see the note here. What I've given 𝐊𝐿𝐿𝐿 is an ability called Masks Instead. You'll roll one of the dice that comes with the game special. On a Cthulhu result, you'll get the full effect. A tentacle will give you a D3, and it would help if I could spell tentacle correctly. Tentacle. There we go. You'll get nothing on either elder sign. Depending on the roll of the green die, you'll roll a regular D6. On a result, destroy 1 investigator per and replace with a cultist. So basically, if you roll a Cthulhu, you'd get 1 investigator per. On a tentacle, you'd get half per. I would say round up.
Okay.
I'm going to make a note there. D3, round up. So hopefully to make it somewhat useful for you. And as you can see, we've got most of group 2 and all of group 1 yet to go. So let's go back into our PowerPoint presentation and go to Cthulhu. This is the only stock image I could find of Cthulhu, believe it or not. Don't ask me. Cthulhu, surprisingly, despite being the namesake of the mythos, has actually been fairly quiet on the channel in terms of Christmas in Arkham. In 2024, he was summoned but eliminated in the third group via tiebreakers. Cthulhu in 2023, Christmas in Arkham, was not summoned in group 1. And then 2022 had the same result as 2024, summoned but eliminated via tiebreakers. So let's go over to the wheel, and we will spot Cthulhu. Cthulhu is going to be leading off the entire tournament.
Whoa.
So he wants the pressure on himself this year, it looks like.
That's good. That's good. I would like to see Cthulhu. I would like to see Cthulhu win it.
Well, we've got one ancient one coming up. I'd love to see Cthulhu winning it too, but we've got one ancient one that I don't want to see win the tournament, and that's 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐿𝐿. The reason I don't want to see 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐿𝐿 win the tournament is because he's been the opponent both of the last two times I've run this campaign. So we'll come back to that fact. In the summer of Lovecraft earlier this year, we actually defeated 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐿𝐿 by a final score of 2-1. Christmas in Arkham last year, he won by the same result. 2023 was summoned in group 3, but eliminated via tiebreakers. 2022 Christmas in Arkham, he won the first group, but lost in the final group via tiebreakers. And for this year only, for Christmas in Arkham, for the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament, 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐿𝐿 is going to have a 3 elder sign handicap. So this will make more sense when we get into Fate of the Elder Gods, and I'll make a point of explaining it. So, well, it's good news, bad news. Good news is we should get a new ancient one. Bad news is it's a 3 in 4 chance that 3 elder sign handicap is going to be your problem.
Yes, I see that. All right.
Let's find out.
Yes, it's going to be mine.
Group 2 going third, so that 3 elder sign handicap is your problem. It would help if I could spell it right, too. And we'll also bold all of this out. Finish filling these in. Let's see. And then we said first was me. Second is you. And third is me in group 3.
Oh,
no.
Yep.
That was good.
You. Yep.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, hold on. All right, back over here. 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐴 is another 2-time finalist in Christmas in Arkham. Both 2024 and 23, he was eliminated in the winners group. 22, he was summoned but eliminated in the first group via tiebreakers. 21 was the very first time I ran this campaign, and I decided for a thematic reason to go with 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐴 as the opponent, just because winter and all that good stuff. He lost the campaign 2-1, but won in Elder Sign Omens of Ice, as I wanted to challenge our group and go for the sweep. So let's see where 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐴 is going in the tournament. We've only got 3 spots left.
Well, that's neat how it gets rid of every spot you roll.
Well, there's an option of click remove in there, which we'll see in a minute. First group going third, so I will have control of the Windwalker.
Yep. That'll be your last one, though.
In group 1. And it's the last one I've got on the wheel. So both of these last two, actually, let's head back into Edge for a second. So here's the remove button I'm clicking to take them off.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. I'm going to have to use that.
So both of these last 2 ancient ones are ultimately going to be yours. We're going to spin. We're going to go through intros for both and then do 1 spin. For Azathoth and Christmas in Arkham 20, actually both 2024 and 23, summoned and eliminated in the first group via tiebreakers. Summer of Lovecraft last 2024, he lost 3-0. Christmas in Arkham 2022, he was also summoned but eliminated in the second group via tiebreakers. Then 𝐊𝐿𝐴 has also been quiet. The Spider Queen, she was summoned in 24 but eliminated in group 2 by tiebreakers. 23, same result. 22, she won the second group but was not summoned in the winners group. So we're going to do the spin for Azathoth, and then 𝐊𝐿𝐴 will get the other spot.
Okay.
So Azathoth, once it settles down, looks like Azathoth will be
second group going first.
leading off the second group. Which means 𝐊𝐿𝐴 will be in the middle of the second group. That should be all of them. Let me just double check. Yep, that's all of our ancient ones. So before we move over to TTS for our demo game,
so you don't have you don't give a bonus to ones that have never made it to the finals or anything like that, right?
No, I don't.
It's all random. It's just you just randomize it every time straight through. Okay,
yep,
that's fine.
I'll make a note here.
I didn't know if you like, hey, you know, this guy I've never done anything, so he gets a bonus or anything like that. Okay.
Nope. The only, like I said, the only thing I'm doing is because 𝐊𝐿𝐴's been the opponent the last 2 times I've run this campaign, he's got a 3 Elder Sign handicap.
Okay.
So let's go into TTS as I've got a demo game all set and ready to go. So before we do that, let's meet the ancient ones who are actually in the tournament. Cthulhu, here's Cthulhu. A quick look at his ability. This is one you'll need to know. Actually, I think I'll need to know this one. Then Yog-Sothoth. If you've watched previous playthroughs in the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament, you'll know part of why Yog-Sothoth's got a 3 Elder Sign handicap this year. Then here's Hastur. Azathoth could potentially be dangerous, and I'll explain why. Nyarlathotep, here's the Mask's ability as written. As I mentioned, that ability is pretty bad, so you've got the House Rule ability instead. That should be usable. Then 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐴, it should have the Winter Squall tokens somewhere in this module. I'll have to go looking for them. Tsathoggua was not part of it. Here's 𝐓𝐢𝐬𝐿𝐴. Yig. Trying to read these upside down, and 𝐊𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 is the last one. I do have a slight house rule for 𝐊𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 as well when you activate her dark gift, where you can place a cultist among the investigators because there's no other lodged when you're playing with that in solo. I think 𝐊𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 was one of yours as well.
Yes.
So I'm actually spotlighting a different ancient one that I don't normally get to play with because every time this game comes out, I'm playing the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament. That is Dagon. His dark gift is the Innsmouth Look. I can choose a location to roll 1 die for each investigator present at that location. For each tentacle or Cthulhu, I destroy an investigator and place a cultist from my lodge at that location. So let's talk a little bit about that Elder Sign handicap. So I've got my red summon tracker here. I'm going to be advancing along that clockwise, whereas you gain Elder Signs counterclockwise. So if this was 𝐊𝐤𝐸𝐿, I know I pulled the blocks over. Here we go. So this is what 𝐊𝐤𝐸𝐿's starting track is going to look like. He's going to have 3 Elder Signs. You gain Elder Signs counterclockwise. The way this affects in the solo game is the first time those meet during the game, you'll pick up a curse. 5 curses and you lose. 5 curses or 10 Elder Signs completely closing off your summon track, you lose the game. You win if this gets all the way around. So does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
All right. I'll bring those out of the way, and then we'll go through the individual locations on the altar.
Because of those spacers in there, it's easier to get those pieces to connect.
Yep.
Yep, I got it.
All right. So moving over to the board, we'll start off with the other worlds. You might notice there are two Cthulhu pieces here. We control one starting at the other worlds, the darker one. The investigators will control the lighter one that starts at the streets of Arkham. The other worlds are where you roll dice per cultist you have there to advance on your summon track. There's also control abilities, but I'll talk more about those when those become relevant. If you go to the museum, you can gain one of these artifacts, and I don't think I much like either of them. Well, maybe these artifacts, but the library is where you go to gain those. Then the ceremony is where you activate your dark gift, and you get a gate card, which is a wild card. You can use that to move anywhere. The Streets of Arkham works a little bit different in the solo game. You can lose Elder Signs there instead of giving out cultists and investigators and raiding. Going to the Gathering lets you gain 3 cultists and move 1 of them. Then the library lets you draw 3 cards from the spell deck, which you use the spell cards to move around. So my starting hand consists of a white card. The way the card's laid out is the symbols at the top on the spell cards are what you need to ready that spell at your location. The next symbol is what symbol's on the back, so you can always know what's on the back of your cards without having to look at them constantly. So this is a power surge spell until the end of your turn. Control your current location, which can make your actions more, but give you an additional action that you can trigger. Then we've got Sign of the Brotherhood. Choose another cult to retrieve a cultist from the abyss. You retrieve 3. So in this case, I need 2 reds and a blue at the location to prepare that spell. Then Transmogrify, taking a blue and a white, on a red symbol, change any one rolled die to any face, become cursed. So that could be a dangerous card to use potentially. So questions so far?
Nope, not so far.
Okay, then we've got our monsters, but I hardly use the monsters unless it's 𝐊𝐤𝐸𝐿𝐿𝐿, but she will be in your hands for this tournament. So if you're all set, what say we jump right in? So the way a turn starts is I'm going to choose one of my spells to use at the location I'm at, and then I'll move the Cthulhu symbol to that marker. In this case, I'm going to use a Transmogrify. So I'll use that to move over to the library. I'll place a cultist from the lodge and an investigator. I can roll for temporary control if I want to, but I don't think I want to. The library's control action is to sacrifice a cultist from the library to ready a spell at no cost. I'm not particularly impressed with any of my spells in my hand, So I'm just going to draw 3 additional spell cards. On a blue, I'll find 𝐊𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐻𝑒's Vengeance. This will probably be movement fodder because, as you can see, its effect is pretty crappy in solo. I need a red, green, and a white to prepare that. When another cultist takes an action that places at least 1 investigator on my lodge, they become cursed.
Oh, so yeah, multiplayer, that would be great.
Yeah. Command, taking a purple and a green, and I can use it to move to red. Move a monster in a location or lodge to any other location or lodge. I'd be moving that to locations. And then on a white, there's also always the option to discard 2 matching symbols to move to any location. But on a white, I've got Coerce the Innocent. This one takes a green, blue, and a yellow. Move up to 2 investigators from any one location or lodge to any lodges. Also probably movement fodder since there are no other lodges in solo. I can ready 1 additional spell, but with red and green only, there's nothing I can do there. So I'm just going to draw up. So you draw either 1 spell or up to 3, up to your hand size. Minimum hand size is 3. In this case, I'm drawing a rack on another white for 2 blue. Destroy an investigator from any one location or lodge. So the investigators will then discard the top card of the deck, which in this case is a green, to move over to the gathering. They'll place an investigator, and that's it for the investigator's turn. Seems pretty straightforward, no?
Sure, yeah, that's not too bad.
And then
just
as
draw the card, move the ancient one, and then put an investigator out.
Yep. I'm going to discard that 𝐊𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐻's Vengeance on a blue to move over to the museum. That'll place a cultist from the lodge and an investigator. The control action here at the museum is I can discard and replace the artifact display and then sacrifice up to 3 cultists from the museum, destroy an elder sign from any one lodge for each cultist sacrificed this way. Now, looking at the artifacts that were out here, I can discard the ceremonial dagger to return to the supply up to 5 cultists from my lodge, then become cursed. And then for true magic, exhaust that to discard a spell in my reserve, then draw the top spell from the spell deck and immediately ready it for free, which could be useful. I'm going to grab a little bit of something from the garbage here, but I'm not impressed with any of those, so I'm actually going to draw the top artifact from the deck, and the script's going to error out on me. So the artifact I'm going to find instead, it's not going to sit properly, is the Shining Trapezohedron. There's normally a limit of 1 gate card that I can hold, but this says I can hold up to 2. I can exhaust this when another cult moves to the ceremony to draw a gate card. Then with 2 blue, there is nothing. Actually, I could prepare a rack, so I think I will prepare that for Dagon. So that'll let me destroy a cultist from any one location or lodge. I'll discard the blue card that I used there to prepare the spell. Then I'll draw back up. And I've got an enthrall on 2 white. Choose a cultist, a location that another cult controls. Control is determined by having at least 3 cultists there. In this case, that would be 3 investigators. So I would choose a location, destroy 2 investigators. Then then we're moving into the investigator's turn again. They draw another green, but because they're already at the gathering and they have to move, they're actually going to move up to the other worlds instead. Placing a cultist out, and that's their turn. Now, if they were to try to move to a location that I would be at, they'd move to either the other worlds or the streets of Arkham, and I would end up with a curse.
So how do you know, because he was on green, how do you know where to send him from there?
Because he was on green and the other worlds was unoccupied, he moves to the other worlds from that.
Okay.
And looking at my hand, since it's back to my turn, I think I'm going to use. Remember, I can't stay at the museum, so I'm going to. Do I want to go to a white? I think I want to keep a power surge though, so I'm going to use Coerce the Innocent on a white, and I'll move over to the ceremony. That'll place a cultist and an investigator. Here, I am going to roll for temporary control. So remember, I need to roll a Cthulhu to get temporary control of the location. Which that's a lesser elder sign, so I didn't get temporary control of the location. What I will get, though, is a gate card, which I can use for movement anywhere, and I can trigger my dark gift. I'll choose a location, roll a die for each investigator present there. For each tentacle or Cthulhu I roll, destroy an investigator and place the cultist from my lodge there. I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose the Gathering, because that's probably somewhere I'm going to be looking to go next. So I'm going to roll 2 dice because there are cultists there, or because there are investigators. All right, I rolled 2 tentacles, so that lets me destroy both of those investigators. I have to pull one off, and then I get to replace them with 2 cultists. Then with a white and a yellow, I'm not preparing anything there, so I'll just draw up, and I'll find a broken seal. 3 red. Remove an elder sign, then you may sacrifice a cultist at the current location to remove 1 more. This is actually I'll give you a little tip when you're controlling 𝐊𝐤𝐿𝐷. If you can find this spell and be able to get it ready, if you can find a couple copies and be able to cast them quickly, you can actually negate that 3 elder sign handicap fairly easily. So just as a little kind of a tip there. Then the investigators at the other worlds are going to discard a red to move over to the library. They'll place a cultist there. Now I have to be careful about moving over to the library, because anytime you move into a location with at least 3 investigators there, at the end of your turn, you actually take all 3 of them and you end up with them on your lodge. When you get 5 on your lodge, you end up getting raided at that point. So you want to be careful of that for obvious reasons. Let's see. Then I think I actually will use these 2 reds at the ceremony as wilds, so I can move over to the Gathering. That will let me place a cultist and an investigator. And now I control the location outright because I've got 4 cultists, which is at least 3 and more than the investigators. So because of that, I get to resolve both the regular and control actions. Here's the Gathering. I return 3 cultists from the Abyss to my lodge, and I can move one of them. I can move one of the cultists at the Gathering, but because I have control, I can move any number. So I get 3 back from the Abyss. Excuse me. And I will move all 4 up to the other world because I need them there to be able to try to summon my Ancient One anyway. Then with a red and 2 green, I'm not preparing. Well, no, I'm not preparing anything there. I can't use the 2 greens as a wild because it does specify in the rules that you can't use 2 of the same symbol as wild for purposes of preparing spells. So I'm going to draw a white, and it's a Dark Pact, taking a green and a yellow. Become cursed to prevent gaining all elder signs from a single source. So from a raid, you could use that to negate every elder sign. Then the investigators are discarding a green, trying to move to the library, or red, trying to discard a library, but they're already there. So they end up moving back to the other worlds. Okay, now I'm actually going to use that Dark Pact at the Gathering so I can move back to the ceremony. Gaining a cultist and an investigator there. And I think I am going to roll for temporary control here as well. I won't get it. The reason I was rolling for temporary control at the ceremony is because if I get control, I can sacrifice 2 cultists from the ceremony to advance 1 on the summon track. As it is, I do get another gate card, which remember, I can hold 2 because of the Shining Trapezohedron. And then I'll activate my Dark Gift. Once again, I'm going to choose Am I going to choose the other worlds? That seems like it would be the obvious play. So I think I am going to choose the other worlds still. I'm going to take a bit of a penalty, but that'll let you see how it can be potentially reckless to get all of your cultists out there and not move them to the abyss. Well, we are going to get to demo that. So that places 3 cultists at the other worlds. And then with a, let's see, where am I at the ceremony? With a white, yellow, and 2 red. White, yellow, 2 red. I'm not preparing anything there. So I will draw a green card, and I'll find another power surge. The cultists at the investigators are discarding a blue to move over to the museum. They'll place a cultist. They'll place an investigator. I have to double check the penalty because I know there's a penalty if you don't have any cultists in your lodge. See, that's probably going to be under investigators move to the lodge. No cultists in the lodge. Okay. So yeah, if you don't have any cultists to place from your lodge, you take 2 from the abyss, 1 onto your lodge, and a cultist onto the location. As a penalty, you gain an elder sign. So you do want to be careful of that. At the ceremony, I'm going to use a gate to move over to the other worlds. So as I mentioned, cultist to the location, 1 to my lodge. I get an elder sign penalty, and we place an investigator. Now, I control the location outright because I've got a whole mess of cultists here. I've got 9 of them. So what I get here is I get to roll for progress on the summon track, but for every Cthulhu I roll, so for every, I'll show you which face I'm looking at. So this is the Cthulhu face. For every one of these, actually, let me move that out of the way. For every Cthulhu I roll on the summon roll, I get to return 1 back to my lodge instead of the abyss. So I need 9 dice for this. So tentacles and Cthulhus are good in this case. So let's see what happens here. Let's see. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the summon track. So I'll move down to 6 there. 3 of the cultists go back to the abyss. And 3 come back to my lodge. Then I'm looking at spells. I've got a purple there. Then I've got green, 2 red, and blue. It's probably a bit of a waste, but I'm actually going to prepare a power surge there. You can only prepare 1 spell there, and everything else gets discarded. And it doesn't want to stack for me. We'll do it this way. Should be able to stack it like so.
Probably because that one's turn, maybe, I don't know.
Didn't seem to make a difference. The rest of them stacked just fine. Let's see. So that is the end. So I'll draw another card. And this time I've got a Shadow Walk, taking 2 yellow and a blue on a white symbol. At the end of my turn, I can sacrifice a cultist and become cursed to immediately take another turn. The cultists at the museum are discarding a blue. They're trying to move to the museum, but since they're already there, they would try to go to the other worlds. But because I'm there, they actually move to the streets of Arkham instead, and Dagon will end up with his first curse. Where are the curses? Right here. So these can screw with people in a multiplayer game, but here for solo, they're essentially another lost tracker. We'll put an investigator out. Then back to me. I think anywhere I go, I'm going to end up with... Actually, you know what? No, this is fine, I think. So we'll use as Magnus is stopping by.
Hello from Sweden. Magnus is here.
Morning, Magnus. You're just in time watching the demo of the Fate of the Elder Gods for Christmas in Arkham. Where was I? Oh, yes. Figuring out what I wanted to do with my turn. Well, I've got plenty of cultists in the gathering. And I kind of want to prepare... Let's see, what is that? Yellow, yellow, blue. Can't prepare that anywhere. Red, red, blue also can't. Well, red, red, blue could be prepared at the library. But Enthrall is really not anything I need at this point. So I think I will use my blue, although the artifacts are still pretty crappy there. And blue, blue, white, nothing I want to prepare there right now. The game might be over if I take this gamble. So I'm going to discard 2 blue so I can move over to the ceremony. I will end up with the 3 cultists in my lodge. I don't get rated until 5, so that's not a huge problem right now. It is something to pay attention to, though. Actually, I think when the investigators moved to the streets of Arkham in a solo game, it's an immediate raid, but I had nobody in my lodge at the time, so that's how that worked out. I place a cultist and an investigator. So I trigger my dark, so I get another gate card, and then I trigger my dark gift. I will choose the other worlds again, because getting more cultists there always seems like a good thing, especially if I think I'm going to be trying to end the game here soon. Which I do get a tentacle, so that'll discard an investigator, put a cultist out, because that's the Innsmouth look. And then with white, yellow, red, red, purple, I am going to use power. I'm going to prepare another power surge, which means all of this goes away. There we go. Then I will draw back up to 3. On a green, I'll find Call the Wicked Ones, summon a monster and become cursed, taking a white and 2 yellow. That'll be from one of these, which of course they're both upside down, so unless you stand on your head or pull out your copy in physical, you won't be able to read these.
I was going to say, I think I have this game.
I'm pretty sure I saw you do an unboxing of it.
I'm pretty sure I do. I'm trying to remember where it is, but it's probably buried.
I was going to say,
I don't know where.
It's probably somewhere in that mess of games you've got.
I'm sure it is. I was just thinking that, like, how far is it going to, where am I going to have to dig down to get this thing?
And the other spell I drew is Confound on a yellow, taking a white and 2 green. Move all investigators from a location to an adjacent location, or remove all cultists, or remove all investigators from your lodge. That could be good if you're trying to duck a raid.
I think there's an expansion for this game too, right?
Yeah, there's an expansion. This mod actually has got it, and that's how 2 of the ancient ones, I believe 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐿 and 𝐊𝐿𝐿𝐿, are eligible for the tournament.
Okay.
So a red at the streets of Arkham will send the investigators back to the library. And as you can see, now the library is a very dangerous place to be, with 4 cultists there. But of course, I'm not going to the library. I'm going to use a gate to move up to the other worlds. So I'm going for the win here. That'll be 5 dice I roll, and I do control the location outright. So again, in case this summon roll doesn't work, I'll get any Cthulhu's that I roll up to. I'll get any Cthulhu rolls I roll back to my lodge. Magnus asking if this is a 2-player game. I think it plays. I want to say it plays up to 4. Let me see. 4 is the number that sticks in my head as the top end, but I wouldn't swear to it. Probably easier if I look on BGG. So hold on just a second. I've actually got BGG tabbed over here. It's taking its sweet time because, of course, it is. At this rate, it might be faster for you to dig through your collection and try to find it in there.
I was going to say I could probably have it up here in a second.
Well, I've got it tabbed up here myself, and it's taking its sweet time. Oh, here it goes. Ish.
Fate of the Elder Gods is, let's see, 1 to 4 players.
That's what I thought. I'm not
1
sure.
to 4 players. Community says best is 3 players.
Well, the community, I don't. Never mind. I'll swallow my comments about the community. But no, all good, Magnus. We don't mind answering questions. That's kind of part of the point of the exercise of chat. And besides, this game is probably just about over pretty soon anyway.
This game is also designed by one of the designers is Richard Lanius.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did not know Richard was part of this.
Well, we're going for another roll here to see if we can advance further on Dagon's summon track. If we roll 3 tentacles and Cthulhu's in any combination, this playthrough's over. Which we rolled 4 of them. So doing this by the book, three of the cultists would go back to the abyss. 1 would come back to my lodge. I'll advance 3 on the summon track. I will take another curse because Dagon did meet his 1 elder sign. And Dagon has been summoned. That's the end of the game. So this would actually be a very respectable performance in the tournament. Summoned with 1 elder sign and 2 curses. Might be a little bit nervous getting into tiebreakers, but not a bad start to the tournament. But remember, tiebreakers go elder signs, then curses. So that's it for the playthrough of Fate of the Elder Gods. Any questions you had on watching everything here?
Oh, I mean, there's lots of questions. Oh my God. I mean, just general, like strategy wise, like, knowing where to go, what you're trying to do. Like in the beginning, it's all about getting your cultists on the board, it looks like.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
And knowing which location you should probably try to go to. Yeah, I mean, you've obviously played this game a few times. You know what you're doing. That's for sure. Okay. All right.
Well, you kind of have to play it a few times when you're running a tournament, when you've run a tournament like this for 4 years.
Right. Yeah, quite a bit.
So I imagine you'll want to get this out at least once or twice before the tournament actually starts on Wednesday.
But I would like to, if I could find the damn thing.
Well, I'll also send you the TTS module. That might be easier than digging through all your games and potentially killing yourself via games.
Yeah, that'd be nice if I could get a copy for sure. It looks like it's got the rules and everything as well, so that's nice.
Yeah, it's got the rules in here, and it's got the rules for the expansion as well. So Beasts from Beyond. That's the expansion that'll explain how everything works with the Monster Reserve, which I didn't actually do anything with the Monster Reserve. But yeah, that's it for Fate of the Elder Gods. So that's what we have to look forward to. The tournament, I'll actually bring it back up top here. We'll go ahead and...
So you think like 20 to 30 minutes?
That probably, per Ancient One, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Especially once you start getting into the flow and you know what you're doing. So yeah, that'll do it for this playthrough of Fate of the Elder Gods. What all do you have coming up on your channel before I plug everything I've got coming up on mine?
Whatever. I'm not like you. I'm not organized and come up with a schedule. I look at my collection and I go, oh, you know what? I do have one thing though. I started my college football tournaments where I picked out 8 undefeated teams from 2000 to 2020, and I've got them in a bracketed tournament. And we had our first game yesterday, number 4 Alabama versus number 4 Florida State versus number 5 Alabama. And so we played that. So probably be doing another one of those coming up this week. And yeah, I'm not sure. What do you got coming up?
Well, I've got plenty of stuff coming up, and thanks for stopping by, Magnus. So I will be playing at least one more game today because I normally play something on Saturday as well. But I was traveling yesterday. I decided to go out and be social with another game group. So decided to pretend that people actually like me. But anyway, we'll be getting up to
Lots
something.
of people like you. Stop that nonsense.
Anyway, we'll get at least one more game on the channel today. I actually do have a couple of unboxings that I want to get to. I'll figure out how I want to do all of that. Then I'll have something else tomorrow as well. On Wednesday, the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament will actually start with Group 1, and we'll go through that. That'll be Cthulhu, 𝐊𝐿𝐥𝐿𝐸, and 𝐊𝐿𝐴. We'll get the show set up for that as well. Then Saturday, Mystical Munchies will have our last recipe out of the unofficial Harry Potter cookbook as we're making the dessert, Any Nut Brittle. Next week, we actually start the campaign proper for Christmas in Arkham, once again, bright and early at the crack of, well, not quite the crack of dawn, not quite that early, but still plenty early, as we'll be playing Eldritch Horror. And we'll also have Pinot with Phoenix next week as well. Thank you for watching this video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.